Is my aquaponics system and the water cycled? So is it colonized with bacteria? How do I know? Holy catfish! It's the aquaponics lady! Alright, so you've been cycling your system, hopefully, and if you haven't been cycling your system and you want to know how to cycle your system, check out the link up here right now, how to cycle your system. And remember, I'm just going to go over what cycling is so that we can all be on the same page, and then I'll answer that, is my system cycled? Cycling is when we're colonizing our aquaponic system with bacteria. So this is bacteria that's everywhere in nature. It's the normal ecosystem nitrifying bacteria that we find in the oceans, in reeks, reeks, oh my gosh, rivers, creeks, ponds, lakes, everywhere, okay? And it's in the soil, it's in the water, it's the nitrifying bacteria that converts things. So in aquaponics way, it's converting the fish waste, which is ammonia, into nitrite and then nitrate. Ammonia, toxic for fish. Nitrite, toxic for fish. Nitrate is less toxic for fish, and that is the fertilizer that our veggies use, okay? So there's two types of bacteria, the Nitrosamona and the Nitrobacter. And what we're doing is we're colonizing, so we're introducing this bacteria into our aquaponics system. Now you can let nature take its course, and it'll start cycling with putting some ammonia into your system regularly. It will happen. Please, please, please do not use your fish for this. You'll more than likely kill them. Okay, it's not an ethical way. And for those people who say, yep, just put some dummy fish in there or some cheap fish, it's really not. What are you going to do with those fish if they do survive? Well, you know, seriously, it's not a good thing. I do not advocate for doing it that way. There are other ways of getting ammonia sources into your system. And for those people who pee in their system, good for you. I don't advocate that as well, because we don't know what bacteria you're carrying. But anyway, there are other ways. So you can add things like Charlie carp, sea salt. There are different types of ammonia that you can use, making sure that it is safe for aquatics. That's the biggest thing here, isn't it? By putting that ammonia into our system, we are getting that bacteria happening, and once it's within our system, it still needs to colonize. It still needs to go through all of those cycles. So as I said, there is a video about that, on how to cycle your system. But how do I know when our system is done? Well, this is when we're using our master test kit, and in taking out the information booklet, we see that we have ammonia, we have nitrite, and we have nitrate. So when the ammonia is back at 0, when the nitrite is at 0, so both of these are at 0, and we have the nitrate present, then you're probably cycled. But here's the thing. If you've only been adding small amounts of ammonia to your aquaponic system, and it's gone through and it's done a little bit of a spike and it's come back up, and you've then got the nitrite, so that means you've got the first bacteria, Nitrosamona present, okay, and it's done a little bit of a spike, and then you're getting a little bit of nitrate, that means you've got the Nitrobacter bacteria present, but you're still only getting small amounts. That means you're only putting in small amounts of ammonia. And then just say you've gone through and you've got 0, 0, and I don't know, say 10 parts per million of the nitrate. So you know that there's bacteria within your system. Woohoo, awesome, we love that. But then you go and you add, say, a whole heap of fingerlings, a whole heap of fish. If you don't have enough bacteria within your system's going to crash. What's going to happen is you're going to put your fish in, and within hours, you're going to start getting green ammonia. And these are not very strong ammonia readings because I actually don't have these in my systems. But you will start getting green, okay? Because if you're only putting a small amount of ammonia in, and then you're expecting that to be reproduced quickly, it takes time to colonize your system. And that depends on your weather. I'd love to say it's 3 weeks or it's 3 months, but that'll depend on, is it really cold? Are you in snowy areas? Is it really hot? All of these things will impact how long it takes to cycle your system. Is there aeration in there? Are you putting enough ammonia in there as that source? And you can't just add it once. You've got to continuously add it. So you have to replicate what your fish will be producing. Fish are constantly producing ammonia from their gills and their urine. Okay, it's a constant thing that they're doing. So you need to replicate every day or every couple of days, adding a certain amount of ammonia into your system. And you need to work out how much that will be for your system. So if you're going to go and add, 50-inch fish that big, well, the amount of bacteria that you need colonized in your system is different if you're going to add 50 fish that big. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people are adding small amounts and they're getting their little spikes, or maybe even big spikes, but then they're not continuing to add ammonia. So they're only getting small amounts of both bacteria present, and that then means when they put the fish in, they end up getting an ammonia spike or a nitrite spike, and these are not really what I would consider serious spikes because, as I said, I had to try to make these water samples because I don't have bad water quality. And that's the thing, I strive for 0, 0 and 10 parts per million. That's what I do for all of my aquariums, and that's how we know when it's cycled. But if you cycle your system and you've gone through and you've got your ammonia spike and then you've gone through and you've got your nitrite spike, and these are then back to, where are we? Water samples. Sorry. So you've gone through and you've got your spikes and we're back to yellow. Well, I think that's like 0.25, but that's close enough. So we're back up to 0 or just on. I had just fed the fish, they're all excited. And we've then got the blue, which is showing that there is 0 nitrite. And then we are showing that I only have a small amount of nitrate in the system and it's 5 parts per million there. When you're at that stage, that's when we say, yep, awesome. It's cycled. But it's only cycled if you then add your fish and you don't get any more spikes. You've got to make sure that how many fish you're putting in there, you're going to be replicating that. So if you're going to put a whole lot of fish in your aquaponics system, then you need to start off cycling your system with lots of ammonia in there. And then you'll go, oh my God, it's going to get really, really high, which it will, which is why we do advocate small amounts of fish, smaller sizing, and then as they get bigger, your system will continue to colonize. Okay? And just as a point of note, if you've got too much ammonia in your system, that will actually slow down the nitrification process. So you don't want to be jumping and putting a whole heap or tipping the whole bottle in and getting really impatient. It will smell and it will slow down the nitrification progress. So you're wanting to look at, be reasonable. If you've never had fish before, do you really want to start off by stocking a whole huge system with big fish and then go, how do I deal with the water quality? I hope not. That sounds a bit silly. That's like, you've never driven before and you're jumping into a Mercedes. That's the similarity here. You don't know what you're doing. Start small. So even if it's a bigger system, and this is only my little barrel system here and the big one's over there, but even if you're just wanting to say, I'm going to start off and I'm going to put 50 little fish in, remember, little fish grow into big fish and bigger, depending on what you're doing with them. Little becomes big. And if you have enough of the bacteria in there, as they get bigger, the bacteria will continue to colonize. But if you're only putting a small amount of ammonia in your system, it's not going to cycle properly. You're going to get both bacteria, then dump in some bigger fish or a lot of fish, but you haven't been supporting that with that amount of ammonia there. Okay? If you've got questions, make sure you ask. So it's not just waiting until we're getting, 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite and nitrate present. You're needing to make sure that however much or however many fish and the size of the fish, the ammonia they'll be producing, you want to make sure you've got that amount of bacteria present. Honestly, you can't have too much bacteria. So it's better to, because it will just it'll go dormant if it's not being used, and then it'll waken up when it's needed. So don't just tip the whole bottle in, but work it out. And have a little bit more and think about it. Just be logical. Your system is cycled when you've gone through the stages. And you're back to 0, so 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and nitrate present. And then over the next few weeks, this is why we don't want to be rushing to put our fish in, add a little bit more ammonia than what you have been. And if you're still coming up and getting, say, green ammonia present after an hour or so, then you know you haven't been adding enough of that ammonia. If you add a little bit more ammonia and your test comes back saying it's 0 ammonia, but you've got nitrite present, well, you haven't quite been adding enough, so you need to wait a little bit longer for that to be fully colonised. And I just want to do as a point of fact here, make sure that you're testing your source water as well. So when we have big storms around here, I actually find that I have ammonia and nitrite and nitrate in my tap water. Kind of feels unhealthy, which is why I drink purified water. So all of these are actually present in our drinking water from the tap around here. Not a good thing. So you do need to make sure that you know the pH and the ammonia, nitrite and nitrate level of your source water as well, because that will also impact how well and how much you're cycling. So if you've got any questions about this on how is my system cycled, ask them. Ask them so I can answer you. Okay? Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions or comments, make sure you do leave them below. And hit that subscribe button so you can find out when I've got more videos being posted. And don't forget to follow me on other social media, because I do different lives on different social media on different days. So, again, thank you for watching. I really value and appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.